Chris, just what did you see from your group, especially at the start, that set the tone and got you guys rolling the way that you did?
Our defense. Our defense was good. Was on point. And certainly, we're able to kind of get out and play faster than we have been playing through the first 2 games of the series. Get some turnovers and some, emotional momentum plays early on, kind of get us going. So,
what led to the Terrence decision, and just what do you think about the lift that he gave you?
I mean, it was awesome. Came in. I've been wrestling with getting another guy in the rotation. We played Jalen a little bit the other day. I just, a guy who can stretch the floor in transition. He's a downhill player. Got a good body. Physicality. We needed some physicality out there. Just kind of a different type of player than we have in other positions. So, we kind of knew coming into the game that we were going to get to him.
Ant obviously scored a lot in the first, but his defensive tenacity, the way he attacked the glass, just what did you think of the tone he seemed to set for the entire team?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we need him to do, and that's when he does it. It takes us to another level. I thought that's what was really, really big in the first quarter. He got a couple of those steals. He was all over the place. He knew that we needed that type of start from our defense, and he brought it. He was really, really good.
Coach, with the way that Terrence played and the fact that he had big minutes for you, can we see him play a bit more going forward? What could his role look like in Game 4?
You're definitely going to see him more. You got to – first thing is to be good in this league, you got to keep doing what you've already just done. So we just want to see more of the same, but we know either way, whether the shots go in or he scores or doesn't score, he's going to bring energy and competitiveness. That's what we really love about him. So, yeah.
Coach, talk about Naz Reid getting back strong today.
Yeah, it was good for Naz to see some threes drop for him. I thought he played much more definitively and just confident. And, I thought the only thing that kind of got in his way was a little bit of foul trouble. He's starting to get some momentum. But, he's been so important to us, and we need him. And, I thought he gave us another kind of gear, too, out there. So.
Chris, they came out of halftime an 11-2 run, and you guys called a timeout and then went 20-4 back. What was the key in that timeout to kind of reground, refocus things?
Just to hold on. Yeah. Welcome to Minnesota. What was the question?
In the spirit of refocusing out of that, what was the key of refocusing out of halftime?
Oh, the timeout. Yeah, I mean, that was just it. It was refocus. We've had second half starts like that before when we've played really well in the first half. I just thought we were a little sloppy with our passing, a little loose with our defense. These guys came back from, 30-plus against Memphis just in this playoffs recently. They're an outstanding team. They're not going to quit. So we started giving up threes, which we didn't want to do at that point in time, and then we had an and one. So it was just a combination of both. Guys really refocused, came out and not just got back in the game, but grew the lead from beyond what it was at half. So all credit to those guys. So.
Even in the stretches where you played well in the first 2 games, you didn't kind of reach maybe this level where you just kind of thrashed them. Is there something psychologically for this team at this moment in the series that now you can accomplish this against this team?
First of all, shots went in today, and they hadn't gone in games 1 and 2, and that's just the nature of it sometimes. So, we don't feel psychologically disadvantaged when we step out on the floor. I don't know if that answers your question or not. So we just had to kind of keep finding a better game within ourselves. We hadn't really played our best basketball. All credit to them at times for affecting that. Tonight I think we just were able to put it all together and got to do it again. So.
Coach, it seemed like you guys were really aggressive, especially jumping passing lanes, getting deflections, especially early on. Was that a point of emphasis coming into tonight?
Well, we wanted to be the aggressor in everything. Yeah, absolutely. So, guys knew what type of defense we can play. We don't feel that we've been playing it. We felt most of the series we've been on our heels defensively. I think that was a mindset switch that we realized. So guys, got aggressive, and that's what you need to do right now. So.
What did you guys do better and or differently against Gilgeous-Alexander tonight?
You want me to tell you?
He didn't have as good of a game.
I mean, like I said, we just were more aggressive everywhere. I thought we were a little cleaner around him with, didn't foul. Just our competitiveness was at all-time high. Like, he is a phenomenal player, man, and he's not going to have too many nights like this. So we feel fortunate for that, and we'll move on to Monday.
When you lose 2 games in the fashion that you lost the first 2 games, the confidence can be kind of shaken. Did you sense any of that, notice any of that? And if so, kind of to what Chris was saying, is that kind of an emotional boost moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we have I didn't sense any loss of confidence from our team. I sensed frustration that we hadn't played well. I hadn't shot the ball well, but we were, like I said to you, pre-game, we were happy with the shots that we were able to generate, in particularly game 2. And, I think we had a 4 or 5 minute periods where in both games where they do what they do, which is turn you over at a high level and get into you, turn it into quick points at the other end of the floor. And, we were able to avoid that tonight, and that's really kind of what it came down to. So.
Chris, Julius didn't play down the stretch in the fourth in game 2, didn't play down the stretch in the fourth in certainly different circumstances tonight. What impressed you about the way he responded between games 2 and 3?
Yeah, I mean, Julius was awesome, and he and I chatted this morning, and, as I said, hey, man, like, you had one subpar game in the playoffs so far. It just happened to be the other night, and just we're moving on. I mean, the other day, it was nothing really about him or his play specifically. We were down. We had to try to change the complexion of the floor, and he got it. I think that's where our team has grown in its maturity. The game 1, it was Rudy. Game 2, it was him. We can't play them all. And he was fine with it. Of course, he wanted to play. But he also had played 32 minutes up to that point in time in the game, and of the 36 that were, available to that point. And, that team caught a little run, so I just kind of figured I'd ride it out, see how it went. And he totally understood that. But I was extremely proud of his response today. And he got back to doing exactly what we needed him to do, which is not only, score and play make. He only had 3 assists, but he did a really good job of setting up a lot of things out there. So.
Coach, you think you got their attention tonight with this whipping?
I mean, listen, they're a great team. I don't think that they have ever disrespected anybody or anything like that. So, it's one game win. It doesn't matter what the margin of victory is. They still have a 2-1 series lead. We got to come out and try to do it all over again on Monday. So.
Did you feel something different with Anthony Edwards? It felt like he was attacking a little bit more. I mean, that up and under in the second was incredible.
Yeah. I thought he started attacking a lot more in game 2. And I thought today was a pretty clean game for him in terms of understanding when to attack, when to get off of it. So, and this has been Ant's pattern. He's learning so fast and he's seeing so much. And, through the series that, whether it been the Lakers series or the Golden State series, like he's kind of really grown and felt what teams are trying to do, and kind of like rolled along with it. And just another example of you can feel him getting a little bit more comfortable out there with what he's trying to do. So,
Chris, on Ant, you have such a good feel for him from the end of game 2 and the off day heading into this one. Was there much dialogue? Did you just let him, figure out the
end of game 2?
From the end of game 2 to tonight, just what sense did you get from Ant heading into this one?
I mean, positivity. We talked about all the things we've been doing well. I said, just keep staying positive with your teammates, keep believing in them, keep feeding them. They'll knock down shots. He was fine. Ant's really resilient that way. Like he's always comes in a good mood, and he's always ready to go. And he was one of the most positive voices after game 2. In the locker room. So, The leadership that he has shown this season has come leaps and bounds. It's just another example of it. So.
Was the more aggressive defensive coverages, like in the pick and roll, Rudy playing higher up, do you think that helps Spark sometimes, like regaining that hit first defense?
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes you just got to throw your fastball, and we were trying to do too much other junk out there at times. So, thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Got Mike's.
Mark, the start of this game, did you feel like it was more energy on their part versus your part, or an execution thing, or maybe a combination of the two that just you all didn't get off to the start that you wanted to?
Yeah, certainly a combination. Credit them. First of all, they were ready to play, and they did everything better than us from the jump tonight. So dug ourselves a hole. Thought we tried to drum it up a couple different times, but they did a good job of holding us off as well. So we can learn from it. Obviously not our best punch, but again, tip our hat to them for going and getting the game the way they did.
Mark, you guys have scored almost at will, it feels like, in the paint this series. Why do you think that changed tonight?
I'm not sure. I mean, we'll go back and look at it. It was a combination of things. I thought their defensive pressure and physicality definitely stood out early. And they were definitely throwing the first punch in the game. That had a lot to do with it. Schematically, they were a little different tonight, but not a ton. I just thought they were way more physical than we were forceful on that end of the floor, and they were way more forceful than we were physical on the other end of the floor, and that's a tough combination.
And this ended up being the biggest deficit of your season, but like you were down 31 in the Memphis series. Obviously, you turned that game around. What felt different about this game that maybe led to the fact that you guys never really, bit into that lead?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if this mic's even working. Yeah. So obviously in the Memphis series, you go down.
Biggest deficit. I got that.
Right. So I guess why do you feel like you couldn't bite into this lead today the way you did in that game?
I mean, a combination of how they played and how we played. I mean, I would never discredit the effort that they put forth. I mean, they went and got the game tonight. They were way better than us, obviously, in every facet. Can't isolate it to one thing. They just holistically were much better than we were. And like I said, I thought we tried to drum up some energy at different points in the game, but they obviously were able to hold us off because they really ran through the 48 minutes tonight.
Did you feel any different about the looks they got tonight?
The looks?
Yeah.
I think we generate a lot more of a rhythm in the other games than we did tonight, and I thought that impacted our rhythm stepping into those shots, and so some of that, again, was them. I thought they did a great job offensively and defensively, especially from the jump, and some of that's us, and we need to, obviously address the stuff we can control and be a much better team in Game 4 if we want to give ourselves a better chance than we had tonight.
Mark, were there some signs early in this one that were sort of concerning as far as effort or just intensity matching their physicality, anything like that?
I mean, obviously they threw the first punch, but we've been so good all season at being able to take a punch and bounce back, take a punch and turn the game, amp up our whatever we need. And that wasn't the case as much tonight, but it's not like early, I was overly concerned. It's a 48-minute game, and we've been a team that's typically kept coming. But they just, give them credit. They kept their foot on the gas tonight, and we were just never able to give ourselves any traction in the game.
I think I know the answer to this one, but confident you guys can just put this one behind you.
It's been, who we are generally. We know the ebbs and flows of a playoff series. We've been on the other end of games like this, and they haven't been predictive of the next game either. So we do have to look at it and address the things that went awry for us tonight. But at the same time, it'll be a new game. It'll be 0-0 when Game 4 starts.
Mark, some of the things that you guys typically do to teams with pressure, bumping people off of cuts, getting over screens, not allowing to be screened. Minnesota displays some of those same traits tonight. Were you guys bothered by that a little bit, or how do you kind of counter that a little bit going forward as we go into Game 4?
Yeah, they're a good team, that's played very well for a long time now, and they have a lot of pride. And they probably felt like they left something on the table in terms of how they played in the first 2 games. And to their credit, they addressed that, and they were ready to go tonight. So like I said, it's a series. Every game's different. Every series is different. You have to grow through the series, and you got to grow through the things you do well, and you got to grow through the adversities as well. And we've got experience doing that, and we have to apply that right now.
Coach, Jalen Williams seemed to really unlock his offense these first 2 games in the series. What did you see differently in this game tonight?
I mean, it's not just him. I think generally they were just much more physical, much sharper, executed better, more forceful on offense. I mean, for the score to be what it was, they needed to be really good in a lot of areas and outplay us in a lot of areas, and that's what they did. So, again, give them credit. We lose a game like that, it's not just one team. They really took it to us, and we're ready to play. We got to learn a lesson from it. They're going to come out and try to replicate that in Game 4.
Why do you think Ant was able to seize control of the game the way he did, basically from the opening tip?
Yeah, we just weren't able to bottle him up the way that we have the first couple games. Credit them for freeing him up. Credit him for the energy and the force that he played with. He was really on it early. And again, their force on that end of the floor just was better than our physicality, pressure, things that we typically do well. So we'll look at it. We'll, separate out what was, just pure physicality and energy and what was execution. We'll address it and be a better team Game 4. That's what we have to do.
Mark, you mentioned some of the schematic things. How did it sort of impact you guys offensively with them sort of picking up Shai at a lower point?
Say that one more time.
How they were picking up Shai just lower. They weren't picking up as high.
Yeah, I thought they definitely wound that back a little bit, which is an adjustment that other teams have made. I mean, we're used to him getting picked up high, getting picked up low. We have different attacks for that. They did a good job tonight, overall with their execution of the plan, the physicality in the scoring area, creating a crowd. Certainly things we could have done better to try to loosen that up, but they were the better team on both ends tonight.
Went away from the double big lineup in the second half. Was that just trying to throw a different look at them?
Yeah, just trying to get, a little more fluidity on the floor and loosen them up. It was effective in the first couple minutes. We made a nice run. We got it to 22, which for where we were was way more manageable than we had been in a while in that game. But, yeah, I mean, just obviously I threw different guys out there tonight. I'm a big believer when the game's going like that, you just give a lot of guys opportunity to give you a spark, and that's what I was trying to do.
It's a similar thing with AJ. Went with him a little early-ish. Did you like what you saw from him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to evaluate him. He hasn't played a ton in these playoffs. He obviously was injured for a long time, but he established a good little track record, early in his rookie season. He has utility. There's things he brings to the table. I thought maybe his ball handling could have helped us in that part of the game, but at the same time, it's would be unfair to evaluate him in a 3-minute stretch.
Mark, this is a little silly. It feels arbitrary, but fans like to say that a home team is bound to shoot better in their own gym. Like, I just wonder, is that something you're mindful of? Is that something you have to coach against?
I think generally, players, are going to play more comfortable at home, in terms of all the stuff that puts the wind at your back with energy and effort, confidence, and force. And we knew with them coming home down 0-2 that they were going to bring those things tonight, and they did. And while I thought we were prepared to play and mentally ready, they definitely landed their punches, and we had a really hard time getting into the game. But I don't know how much that's, them at home, but they certainly played better than we did tonight.
Anybody else?
All right, thank you.
Chet, did you feel like the energy or the execution was kind of the difference maker in that opening first quarter and just the difference in this game?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is they came out and played with more force than we did. Execution, you couldn't even get execution into the game. because they just took us out of our stuff with force. So we gotta equal that force and be better.
Chet, when you say they forced you out of your stuff, like what are some of the small in-game battles you're tracking? Some of the ways they're doing that you want to avoid?
It's not complicated. They just wherever they wanted to go, they got there. They didn't let us be in their way or anything. They did what they wanted to do, and we didn't stop them. So. Yeah.
And so before, ballooned to 35 and then 40, like obviously in the Memphis series, you guys came back from 31. Just what was sort of different about this game?
I'd say they're a really good team. They're in the Western Conference Finals for a reason. They played with more of an edge tonight than we did, and it showed. I'd say that's the difference. It's not like an X's and O's thing or anything complicated. It's pretty simple.
First couple games, you guys made it really tough on Ant to get any kind of a rhythm going. Why do you think he was able to really take control of this one from the opening tip?
I'd just say you gotta give him credit as a good player. He's gonna watch the film, make adjustments, and see where the cracks are for him to insert himself in the game. We made it tough on him the first two games, and credit to him and their team and their coaching staff for figuring out ways to make it different for Game 3. It's not anything unexpected. We didn't expect them to just kind of hand us the game or anything, and we have to do the exact same thing they did. We have to go back and watch and see why what they did worked, and then figure out how to counter that.
Chet, you said they played with more force, more of an edge. Why do you think that you guys weren't able to match that?
I wouldn't say that we weren't able to. We didn't. So.
Is that hard to get going mid-game? We've seen you guys do it before, have big comebacks. Why was tonight maybe different?
First of all, I'd say we've done it before, but we have to be better from the jump. And I'm always going to look at myself. I'm out there at the beginning of the game, so it starts with me at the end of the day, and I have to be better from the jump. Once you put yourself in those positions, especially playing against really good teams, you don't want to bank on that. We've seen it happen before with us and other teams, but at the end of the day, it's about giving yourself the best chance throughout the whole game, and putting yourself in a big deficit like that isn't what you want to do. So we have to be better.
Games like this are such an anomaly for you guys. Are you more after a game like this? Are you more of a throw it away, forget about it, or are you somebody that wants to get into the film and see all the things that you guys can improve on?
I'm going to get into it and see where I can be better. Our whole team is. The coaching staff's going to. Everybody's going to look and see where they can be better. Because we have a group of guys that really care. So, at this point of the season and after a game like that, nobody's thinking just throw it away or scrap it. There's lessons in there where we can all be better, myself, everybody included, and we're going to do our best to take those lessons and learn from them.
Anybody else? Check.
Triple that step every time.
That's what I looked at right when I came in.
TJ, just kind of when did you find out that you were going to be in the rotation tonight, and kind of what were the feelings coming into this one, knowing that you're going to get that shot?
Micah told me before the game, just be ready to start the second quarter. But it was just a normal feeling because I always work, always stay ready, and just be the best teammate I can be during the meantime. And when my name called, I do what I do.
I know you have an attack mentality, but was that the thinking just when you got in there to just go right at them the way that you did?
Yeah, just be myself. That's my game, attacking downhill, getting in the paint, and making open shots.
TJ, before the series, Ant talked about his relationship with you, about just how much he loves that you work and how much you've been working with C. Hines. What's your relationship with Ant?
It's my dog, man. We talk all the time, give each other feedback. And like you said, we both work. We both work hard, and we love the game. So we gelled right away when I got here.
Nas, were you beating yourself up from the Oklahoma City games? Kind of what was the big difference today?
Nah, I'll never beat myself up. I mean, especially being around Ant. Nah, you never really get down on yourself. I mean, games come and go. Great night will come. You know, the next day you might have a bad night. You just got to try to find a way to be consistent. Man, I think, I've been pretty consistent throughout the whole playoffs. And, to myself, I'm just, thinking like, they'll fall. Shots will fall. As long as I'm doing other things to stay on the court, that's all that matters.
And just what's the mentality now? Did you guys say anything in the locker room and going forward?
Yeah, and it's just the first step to the right direction. We got a lot more basketball to play, a lot more hard work to, accomplish. So I think, we're all, ready to do that. We got the win tonight. I got to try to carry this, this mentality and this aggression that we had tonight over to Monday.
Nas, how come you're the guy that gets called for the reach all the time and nobody else does? They've been slapping the fouls on you, man.
I wonder the same question. It happens, though. I mean, just got to try and, stay in the game, stay in the zone, stay locked in. Stuff happens. Refs aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. So, I mean, just trying, like I said, got to try and, be consistent, both parties.
Nas, you were visibly upset in Oklahoma early on, and you came in and really took care of business today. Was there like a process between Game 2 and Game 3? Was it music? Was it talking to yourself? Was it gathering around teammates? What was the difference between 1, 2, and then Game 3 for you?
Probably just the crowd. Not really anything different routine-wise. Just the crowd, probably. Having the crowd in your back pocket or whatever the case may be. Just having them support you, and then obviously your teammates supporting you. Me and TJ got a little joke that we got going on. It's like in the box or whatever the case may be. So just trying to stay focused, stay locked in, and stay dialed in on every aspect of the game.
TJ, how is it watching Ant from the bench and then coming into the game and then setting the tone like you did as well? Just what are you seeing from him, like as a mentor, obviously, and somebody that you're coming into like, hey, I want to do the same exact stuff. I want to get downhill. Are you reading the game before you go in? Like, what's the strategy from that side of it?
Honestly, just feed off their energy. Or if the energy's low, I just bring it. I got to read the game, obviously, but I feel like the way I play, the defense just got to adjust to me because I'm going so far down, going so fast and fearless downhill that they got to adjust. And if they crowd the paint, I'm going to kick it out. Or if they don't, I'm going to just score the ball.
TJ, you had 9 in that second quarter, 15 altogether. How is this game just a showing of your potential and what you can do for this team now and in the future?
I don't know, man. I just go out there and play my game. Happen to have a good night. Just got to do it again to help do whatever I can to help the team get another win.
TJ, I've got to ask you, playing at the Target Center, you blew it up during the Big Ten tournament. And do you almost feel like you kind of get like the Nas Reid treatment? Because people went nuts over you today.
Nah, don't nobody get the Nas Reid treatment. Nah, nobody get the Nas Reid treatment. He one of a kind, man. But, I got a good ovation from the crowd. But it's nothing like Nas Reid, but I appreciated that.
Nas, you know what it's like to be in TJ's position and trying to work his way in. Just what have you thought about how he's handled everything in his rookie season, and then just to see him blow up tonight when he was needed?
It's crazy, man. You were once in the same situation, like you said, and I think he's handling it well. He's always ready. He's always, he's always up, and he's never and his feelings are down, never upset. He's always willing to be in the gym. I think he's excited when he's in the gym. So it's fun to see. Especially, like I said, when you got a younger guy who's in the same position that you were in. So I think, like I said, just watching him stay ready. Then put on big performances like he did today in a big moment. It's fun to see, and you kind of get the chills because it's like, dang, like I was really in that same situation, and kind of trying to coach him as much as possible. But I mean, his game speaks for itself. So,
TJ, at Illinois, you were kind of like the guy on offense where everything essentially flowed through you. What are some of the struggles that you've kind of gone through this year, pivoting into more of an inconsistent role player, but also in terms of minutes, but also being ready when your name is called to come out and have nights like tonight?
I ain't go through no struggles. I knew when I got drafted here, I got drafted to a good team. I knew I was going to have to work my butt off to get in the rotation or even to get minutes. So, like I said, I just walk in with a smile on my face every day, cheer these guys on, and be the best teammate I can be. And when my time comes, it comes. But, just taking advantage of each day, I feel like that's what you got to do. If you dwell on anything, like, you ain't going to get nowhere in life.
Nas, coming from Asbury Park and then playing at Roselle Catholic yourself, you've been around a lot of basketball, even in college and now the pros. Now playing in the playoffs, I'm curious, what was your earliest recollection being a fan of basketball and watching different series? Who did you enjoy watching?
it was crazy. I ain't watched basketball until I was probably like in college. I was a football player. I wanted to play football. So, but I mean, I think maybe when I first offered at UConn was where I kind of started taking it serious. I mean, I've always played basketball, but I didn't think it was going to be my primary sport. But yeah, I think maybe maybe my senior year when I kind of knew like I had a chance to really do something with the game of basketball. And then I think growing up, I always watched, like when I could, I always watched DeMarcus Cousins. He's a skilled big. I was kind of heavy set at the time too, so he's kind of remind me of him.
Nas, what's the mindset going into Game 4? Obviously, you got the crowd behind you guys, but what do you have to do to mimic this performance you guys had tonight, defensively and offensively?
Stay consistent. Be consistent. That's the name of the game, consistency. I mean, however you can do it, be consistent. Whether it's getting dirty on the boards, diving on the floor, making shots, pressuring the ball, whatever the case may be, just being consistent. I think that's the biggest thing.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you. We'll have Julius up there.
Thank you.
You looked really fascinated by that.
That's good, I promise.
Julius, just what did you sense different tonight, especially in the first quarter, that really allowed you guys to set the tone that you did and get on top of them?
I mean, obviously we got off to a great start. Didn't turn the ball over, limited their runs. But I just think we came with the right intensity on the defensive end and sustained it, for pretty much a full 48 minutes.
And what did you think about the lift that TJ gave you coming in?
Huge for what he was able. We knew that we would need him this series, and Coach obviously has a lot of trust in him. So for him to be ready for his moment and come in and give us the lift he did, he brought a lot of energy to the game, intensity. He was just a huge boost for our team today. So super happy for him.
Julius, huge bounce back game. Coach Finch said he talked to you earlier. Just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on, the conversation you guys had, but then also what you saw out there tonight that was different from Game 2.
I mean, me and Finch been, through all the ups and downs this season. He knows who I am. I know who he is. Me as a competitor, obviously I want to play and do anything I can to help our team win. And I know he trusts me to do that, and I also know I trust him to do what's best for the team at all times. I know he doesn't have any ill intent. So, I mean, obviously I want to play, but for me, it's about the bounce back. You know, how you come back the next game, and I just wanted to come out aggressive. It's not really that they did anything different or myself. I just wanted to be aggressive, and you know, try to do that throughout all the game.
Julius, in game 2, 6 points. Obviously, you got benched in that fourth quarter, but you bounced back in a big way here with 24 altogether. What can you say about your mindset coming into this game and how that was able to help you perform the way you did?
Yeah, I just wanted to be aggressive. I think that was just really what it was from the start. I just wanted to be aggressive.
Julius, I watched you pregame. You were all over the floor while you were listening to Young Jeezy. was that in the game plan? Was that somebody else's mix? Tell me. Walk me through that.
Shout out Flight. We all, you know, will come with suggestions of what we want to listen to. Me, usually I'm like Drake or Nip, but you know, and I think C. Hines won the Future, but it was a Jeezy kind of day, and I actually like that. I like that. I needed some Jeezy to get me going today, so yeah, it put me in the right mindset.
If I could follow up on that, what was the difference, I guess, musically between games 1 and 2 and then game 3? What was the difference in playlist, and what got you so lifted in game 3?
I just know I had to get it out the mud, so you know, he put on Jeezy, and it just got my mind right. So yeah, I mean, it really don't matter. I just knew I had to come out with the right mindset and just be aggressive. Yeah, shout out Flight. He got me going.
Julius, you had a moment where you said, like, we're at home now, and it looked, what were the emotions running through your head because you looked really passionate and fired up?
I just really wanted to feed off the energy from the crowd. Obviously, I love being home, but it don't matter where we at. You know, I'm going to try to approach the game the same way. But, I mean, the crowd, the home energy has just had me going today. It gave me a lot of juice, and, you know, I just wanted to feed off of that energy. I know our team feeds off of it, so, you know, I was just having fun out there.
Julius, how long after the shocking trade did it take you to say this is going to be okay?
Probably, I think I got to Minnesota 2 days later. So I think as soon as I got to Minnesota and just, you know, drove around the area, you know, ate some of the food, hung around some of the, you know, coaches and players, and, you know, just embracing a fresh new start. It happened pretty quick. I was excited.
Have you talked to any of your Knicks buddies during this final run here?
Have I talked to him?
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you if I did.
Julius, you said your team pays attention to how your demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of probably had a choice on how your demeanor was going to be coming off that. Did you pay attention to the example that you set, even in the off day and this morning?
Yeah. I mean, I keep saying it. It's all about winning. And regardless, you know, as a competitor, you don't want to let your emotions overtake from what's best for the team. And I knew, obviously, as a competitor, I want to play, but it's all about the team. And I wanted to make sure that I came in, you know, the same, if it's a good day or a bad day. I think it's important for not just my teammates to see it, you know, young guys like TJ and Jalen and Rob and all those guys just being a professional and understanding it's about the team. So as hard as it is, at times you got to check your ego at the door. And that's what I tried to do, just check my ego. And I think it's beneficial for me because when I do that and I get myself lost in the team, I'm able to come back and play how I played tonight. So,
Julius, Dante's been struggling a little bit in the playoffs with his shot. Hit the first one tonight, finished 2 for 2. Just how impactful was that watching that first shot of his going in?
It's great. It's great. We know how important Dante is for our team. And we got a lot of depth on this team. And, his moment can be any game. He can run off 8 threes in a game very quick, and he will, So we don't know when that moment will be, but we know how impactful he is as a player, how important he is to our team. And it's more than just his shooting. It's what he does on the defensive end. It's him playing the right way, making an extra pass, getting offensive rebounds, all the little things he does as well. So it's more than just his shooting, but he'll have one of those games. I'm not worried about it. I don't have any doubt.
Julius, when I look at your game, I've often felt like you need the ball in your hand in order to be effective, whether that's playmaking, whether that's scoring. And I've often compared it to kind of Anthony Mason during his time in the 90s. And when he was in Miami, he had an all-star year. When you play alongside Mike Conley as a point guard, how long was that adjustment process playing alongside of him? And how do you guys how are you guys just so complimentary off each other because you both are so effective to the rotation of that team?
Yeah, shout out to Mace. He was ahead of his time. Really, really great player. Like I said, ahead of his time for sure with how he played. But, Mike is somebody who can play with anybody. He makes the game really easy. He's seamless. He's a seamless fit in any of the rotations that we have out there. He can play on the ball, off the ball. So the biggest thing for us is we learned each other's strengths and weaknesses and learn how to help each other out there. A lot of times, I want Mike to bring the ball up and have the ball in his hands. He's going to make the easy play, the right play. I know if I set a good screen, he's going to get me downhill in the pocket, or if I get a switch, he's going to get to right space and let me have those ISOs when I need them. So, and he's always going to be in the right place when I have the ball. I know he can bail me out. If I get it in the crowded paint, he's right there for catch and shoot threes. So he just makes the game easy for me, and I just try to always almost rely on that as like a safety valve because he's just seamless in everything he does. He's never in the way. He's great.
Julius, you talk about keeping your ego in check. Chris Finch was just talking about Ant, and he's seen a maturation process. You're just seeing him first time this year. What do you like most about him in terms of being positive, taking the leadership role, and being able to bounce back from the first 2 games as well?
I just think he's very in tune with his teammates and what's going on. As great of a player Ant is and what he does, how special he is on a night-to-night basis, he's like the definition of like selfless in that fact. So, just shortly after that game, he knows I'm hot. Like I'm upset, not just because we lost, but I want to play well. And, I feel like I didn't help my team out at all. And, he was the first one. He seen me and he like, bro, just shake back. You good. Like, don't worry about it. And, as the flight went on, I was able to like, start smiling and laughing again, and we playing cards and all that stuff. So he's very mature and very in tune with the team. And as a leader of a team, you need that.
Julius just talked to Mike Conley, and he said the thing about a win like that is that now we know we can do it. Did the bar get raised tonight?
We ain't did nothing yet. We ain't did nothing. We won 1 game. Protect the home court, did what we were supposed to do in that front, but we haven't done anything. They're a great team, so we got to go and do it again and play even better, play harder, because we know they're going to bring the next game. So good game, but we haven't done anything.
Julius, since you came back in March, do you feel health-wise this is the best you've been in a long time? You're playing every day, and you're
definitely, for sure. Been the last few frustrating seasons, knock on wood, end of the season, unhealthy and, having to have surgery and all those different type of things. So that's been a, pretty, important focus throughout the season of keeping my body healthy and the things I need to do. So it feels great. Just got to keep with it. Yeah.
Shai, what'd you feel just in terms of the force that they were playing with early, and what you all needed to do differently in the opening minutes of this game?
Yeah, we just didn't bring it from an energy and focus standpoint. To sum it up, we just didn't have it. They obviously had it with the sense of urgency, knowing like if they go down 3-0, it's going to be pretty tough. And we just, what it felt like, just eased into the game, and they didn't, and they blitzed us pretty early, and then we were never able to get back because of it. But they just came out with a sense of urgency, and we didn't. And on top of that, when you play a really good team, it looks like that. So we got to come out with a sense of urgency, and then see where the game lays.
Shai, was there a play or a sequence that you saw and thought, like, okay, things are probably starting to get out of hand?
We just, turned the ball over early. They had, offensive rebounds early, a free throw block out I missed, and then I was offensive rebound. Just energy plays and little plays, loose balls, stuff like that adds up, especially early in the game. And then they're at home, their crowd's behind it, and then they get comfortable. They're up 15 and they're open and they're making shots, and now it's 22. It's all a trickle effect, but it starts with just playing with energy and being focused, and we didn't have that tonight.
Well, along similar lines, Chet was just in here saying that Minnesota played with an edge that you guys just didn't match. Why do you think that is that you guys didn't match that edge?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The same thing kind of happened in the Memphis series. We came out in Memphis and they blitzed us. I'm not sure. I guess both situations we were up 2-0 going into Game 3, and we went on the road and they blitzed us. But we don't try to go out like that, I promise you. But whatever it is, we got to figure out if we want to, reach our ultimate goals. But that's what the days in between are for, to get better.
Shai, we've seen you have, the occasional off shooting night. This felt like it was really tough for you to generate looks. What was different from the first couple games in terms of you being able to get looks and to get any kind of rhythm?
I think it starts with I honestly feel like they were obviously heavy on the shell, like they always are. We got some pretty good looks early in the game from 3, and they didn't fall. And then a big part of it is we were taking the ball out the net for the majority of the game. So they get back and get to set their defense. And I don't care who you are in the NBA, against a good defense, it's hard to score when they're set. And in the past 2 games, it hasn't been that. We've been able to get stops and run and play. And like I said, when you take the ball out of the net every time down, it's tough regardless. So I think that was part of the problem was our defense into our offense.
And then, with Ant, you guys obviously made it tougher in the first couple games. Mm-hmm. He dominated from the jump tonight. What'd you see from him that allowed him to get in such a groove? Yeah, he got some early ones, turnovers, fast breaks. He got some early ones easy. And with good players, you can't let them get comfortable early. It looks like that. So, yeah, we got to be ready from the jump. That goes back to the sense of urgency and the focus on the game plan and what he's trying to do out there and what they're trying to do offensively.
Shai, for so much of this season, you guys have been, able to, bump people and, get people out of their offense and blitz people. And, to have that same thing done to you tonight, was that startling to you guys, or is it something that you guys just have to figure out how to deal with and go and watch the film, tomorrow and head into Monday?
I wouldn't say it was startling. It just, it happens. You're never going to be perfect in life in a long season. Now you get punched, it's about getting back up. It's about responding, and that's what the next challenge is. We got punched in the mouth today, and next game we're either going to get back up or not, and we'll lose the game. But we have a decision to make for sure.
Kind of a follow-up on that. You guys all year, last 2 years really, have been a team that put your foot on the gas defensively to either expand a lead or get back into games. Why'd you feel like that wasn't working tonight?
They got too comfortable, and they were playing with a desperate mindset, knowing where the series was laying. And then you give good players comfort in their building with their home crowd behind them. It's in a moment like this in the Western Conference Finals, it's hard to turn the water off. So yeah, that's what that was.
Anybody else? Here we go, Mike Martin. Last one.
You talked about punches, throwing the first punch. Mark said the same thing. What goes into feeling like you guys threw the first punch? Because I can't imagine it's as easy as you guys lead and that's the first punch. What makes you feel like you guys really set the tone?
Say again, sorry?
About throwing the first punch. Mark talked about it. You're talking about it. What makes you feel like your team in a game, you guys threw the first punch?
It usually starts with like game plan stuff. Like they obviously have strengths offensively and defensively, and both teams, and vice versa for us as well. And both teams are trying to impose their will on the game. And the team that imposes their will more and earlier usually throws the first punch. So it's the same thing on both sides of the ball. Like, if they're trying to do something offensively and defensively, we take them out of it, we threw the punch that possession. And then you string them together, and there goes the first punch.
Anybody else? Make a shot.
Oh, yeah, you can take it off. Yeah. Nice bag, though, huh?
Dub, Mark and Shai and Chet were just talking about kind of the force that Minnesota played with, and that you all didn't quite have that, fastball that you normally have on that front. Where in the game are you sort of feeling that? Is it, initial positioning on possessions? Is it, hands? Is it what goes into that?
Talking about like overall?
Yeah, overall force. Yeah, like on possessions.
Usually, very boring answer, but like usually the beginning of the game, like that's where you got to be better. We had a lot of live ball turnovers, and just like that drives momentum. So we definitely not like to do that, and it just wasn't physical enough. They played more desperate than we did, and yeah, that's kind of all I have. But you can kind of tell from the beginning of the game, and then obviously it just got out of hand. They're comfortable, they're making shots, they're making the right plays. So we got to just be more physical and ready to go when the game starts.
When they are playing with that sort of edge, I know you guys rarely ever face double-digit deficits, let alone 15, 20, 30. Like, how hard is it in the middle of a game, especially of that nature, to sort of match that edge?
It's tough. Like I said, when a team is like that, obviously they're a good team, we know that, but when you just give them that much freedom, it's, I don't want to say impossible to slow down, but it's very hard. And it's not like the game was close, you know what I mean? Like, we weren't shooting well either, so when you add that into not playing hard, not matching how they're playing energy-wise, it's very hard to slow a good team like that, especially when they're comfortable.
And Chet was in here just mentioning certain plays, certain sequences where Minnesota's just almost like physically willing you guys out of your stuff and forcing you to do different things. When he says that, like, what do you think of? I mean, I know, like, you and Randle kind of, trying to out-physical each other. Like, what are some of the things you're thinking of when he says that?
Just, I don't know. It's nothing that we haven't really seen. Just, like, same stuff we do, like blowing up ball screens. I think everybody that watches, like, even if you've never watched basketball, like, you can probably see, like, the physicality, like the Julius Randle play you're talking about with me and him, like, on the block. Like, everybody sees those plays. I think a lot of it is just, like, I don't want to say physical. It's more like energy. It's like them being in the right spot early, like them rotating and making the extra effort. Like, stuff like that in my head is where the game got lost for us and, like, what they were doing. So I wouldn't say it was, like, overly physical. It was just, like, them flying around and having confidence and, like, just playing desperate like that. That's what it felt like.
You lost 3 games to Denver last series, but you didn't have to deal with this kind of loss. This loss was pretty atypical of what you guys have had to deal with in the postseason. Even with Game 3 in Memphis, that was only a half. This was 48 minutes. How do you respond to that? And, how do you, get to the root of the real issue?
You just kind of got to scrap it. We'll look back, and obviously we'll have a good game plan in place. But a lot of it, too, is just, like, you got to kind of come out ready to play. And can't be surprised by, like, how, like, obviously they're down in the series, so you can't be too shocked at, like, how they come out. And I think that had a little bit to do with it. But To further answer your question, I mean, it's just a loss, like, regardless of, how many points. And, like, we've been on the other end of that, and it's just, now it's 2-1. Like, that's how we have to think about it. I mean, in college, I've lost by 60, so it can always be worse.
Anybody else? We'll go to Joel and give us one.
Doug, you guys have scored, at least through the first 2 games, in the paint almost at will. Why do you think that sort of changed today?
Our defense was not very good, so it's hard to get any flow of offense when you're taking the ball at every play.
Jalen, the first 2 games of the series seemed to really be in your bag offensively. Coming into this arena, obviously, different environment. What did you see, outside of the way they started, what did you see in the sense of how they defended you that disrupted your offensive flow tonight?
Out of my flow? I played like 10 minutes today. So not too much of anything. Just like I said, just not being able to get stops. It's definitely harder to like go down and score and find cracks when you're playing against a set defense the whole time. And that's for both ends of the team. Like, you got to get stops in order to win games, in order to have some type of flow. And they were getting stops. They had flow on offense, and we weren't getting stops, no flow. That's kind of how the game works. But yeah, I still thought my process was good throughout the entire game. It's just obviously I didn't like play normal minutes, normal game. You try not to force everything either down that big. When you're trying to chop a lead down, you can't try and make all these home run plays. You kind of got to stack over and over again, and wasn't able to do that. But that's kind of the game.
We lost one, Daniel.
Everybody that's come in here has talked about you guys' defense, and for the last 2 years, you guys have used your defense to either get back in games or expand leads. Tonight wasn't the case. Why do you feel that is?
Just didn't have it. I wish I could get into like specifics. I gotta like watch the game. I don't really like speaking on like X's and O's and stuff that we could have did to get better as far as like the game, especially when it happens, because there's so many like emotions that go into the game, and I could be wrong, and you never want to like blow it up too much. But I think just like playing with more of an edge and not be, like I said, not being shocked like how they're gonna play, especially down in the series, and just like obviously they had some success with that tonight, so they're gonna come out like that again, and just not being shocked by that I think will be like a really good start for us, and we can kind of go from there.